Hello and welcome to this video, which is the full length one about the upcoming solar eclipse. I've got a cup of tea. I'm going to start to take you through some of the key things that I've been wondering about this eclipse and share some of the planets and what they're doing at the time and who it may be affecting more so than others, and some of the other things that could be happening potentially globally as well as personally in our lives around this eclipse. Now remember, eclipses are seasons, okay? We have eclipse seasons and series. They don't just happen as a one-off. And the impact or the message of the eclipse for you could be something that reveals itself in a few months' time, okay? It's not always going to be like, all right, I'm sitting there on Sunday night waiting to see the outcome of this eclipse. It's like, it may not be like that. And for some people, it may not be showing up in your personal life, because if it doesn't tie into your birth chart, then it's likely that you're not going to see it. Okay, you may probably see it in your life around you, in friends, people that you know that are getting impacted by this. You could see it in certain political spheres or countries whose charts are getting activated by this. But it may not be so much as like, well, we're all going to feel this eclipse energy. Things can just feel a little bit wild at eclipse time. Okay, it can feel like things are really changing fast. You know, we can have things that have been concealed coming out, things that are out being concealed. There can be a fair bit of topsy-turvy energy during eclipse season. Now, eclipse season is going to happen twice a year anyway, so it's not like it's unusual, but it can definitely be a highly charged time. It can be sometimes a confusing time. It can be a time where things are catapulted out rather suddenly, something that could have been sitting in the recesses of your mind and consciousness, or sitting in the backlog of your to-do list or your brain. This type of eclipse, okay, this is happening in Libra. Now, Libra is a humane sign because it's an air sign, okay? It's not actually just depicted as a human. It's actually one of the only signs that's not depicted as a human or an animal. It's an object, okay? But it's the object of the scales, with justice holding the sword. Now, it says a lot, okay? This eclipse is about the concept of balance, or the awareness of imbalance in relationship. Now, relationships are everything in life, okay? We don't live on an island. Sometimes I wish I did. I guess Australia is a bit like an island. But we have relationships all the time, whether it's with our workplace, whether it's with our friends, family, our partners, our pets, everyone. There's all these dynamics going on. My cat is yelling at me to get fed by hand these days. She's just turned 19. Happy birthday, Bella. Libran. I know, she's such a Libran. So yeah, dynamics in relationships are coming up, and this is not just like, oh, this is a new thing. This is a theme, because it's an eclipse theme, okay? This has been going on. This is going to continue to go on, okay? These eclipses on the Libra Aries axis are not done yet. Okay, so we still have more to learn. We have more to reconcile and work out. Now, you may be working things out. You still may be feeling these energies in a more subtle way. And we are collectively, because we're residents of the earth, we've been looking outside of ourselves at world events. And the concept of humanity has come out, the concept of what is fair and just, what is right. What is right? Well, human rights, violation of human rights, these types of things have been coming out. We've had some horrible atrocities lately. And so this Aries Libra axis, the axis of Venus and Mars, okay, because they're always in opposition, okay? Venus is ruling Libra, Mars is ruling Aries. And this interplay of, that sort of peace versus war, is an eternal struggle. Now, this is going to be part of this eclipse. Now, the thing I'm looking at that I thought was quite interesting is that Venus is ruling the eclipse, okay? Venus, because Venus rules Libra, is the planetary ruler of the eclipse. However, Venus is not in Libra. Venus is in Virgo. Now, traditional astrologers would suggest that Venus in Virgo is known to be in its sign of fall. Now, this means that when Venus is in Virgo, she doesn't really have the resources to do her usual, okay? She maybe can't bring things together and find healing and reconciliation and harmony and peace as well as she could when she was in her home sign of Libra or Taurus. So what does it mean? It means that there could be a bit of a tendency during this eclipse to try and think our way through problems, try to rationalize, try to explain. This can almost become sort of manipulative, or we might try and understand a conflict by putting things into boxes, and by being dry and separate, because Venus, when she is in Libra, she's in a cold and dry sign, okay? Earth signs are cold and dry. Cold and dry as a humor separates things and puts them into little boxes. It's like, well, I'm not right, you're wrong, and that thing's wrong. That's in that box. I'm going to put that in the wrong box as well, okay? Yes, of course, some things are not right, okay? But this sort of compartmentalizing instead of compassion and coming back together again as a community, look at the word community. It's community, right? It's harmony. It's a Venus word, but Venus is operating from Mercury territory when she's in Virgo. So there may be a bit of an imbalance between the head and the heart. We're trying to rationalize our behaviors. We're trying to rationalize the way things are working out there in the world or not working. Instead of coming back to our hearts, instead of coming back to the concept of unity and humanness, okay? The fact is that humans are united due to the fact that they're all humans, okay? We do have different, we might have different religions or different places we live, but ultimately we're all humans, right? So if we can come back to that, come back to the core of who we are and how we're similar, which is more about Venus, okay, because it's about bringing things together, rather than the cold dryness of Mercury in Virgo, which is separating them and saying, well, no, you can't sit with us, you're not the same as us. That is not going to help, okay? That's going to hinder. So when I looked at the chart for this eclipse, and I saw Mercury, which is also, so Mercury is where the ruler of Virgo is Mercury, and Mercury is in Libra. So in a way, this, like, some astrologers would say that's mutual reception because they're in each other's signs, but really they're not, because they can't make an aspect because they're close by. Anyway, astrology lingo aside, Mercury in Libra is about trying to find justice through dialogue, through debating, through getting that message across, but there's still that sort of rational element, okay? But because it's in a Venusian sign, then hopefully there can be a bit more heart, a bit more healing. The concern I have with this eclipse is that even though that Mercury is in Libra, it's Libra, it's under the beams, like it's combust. Now, when a planet is combust, it means that it's really, really close to the sun. When Mercury is really, really close to the sun, now Mercury can mean things like information, it can mean dialogue, it can mean understanding, it can mean communications. This could be communications on the world stage. Is everyone understanding each other? No, they're not. Why? Because everyone's fucking overwhelmed, right? The sun is overshadowing Mercury. Maybe there's a lot of hidden things going on, The concept of combustion, of the sun outshining a planet because it's so close to the planet, that planet is kind of hidden in secrecy. There's something secret about that. So I think that there could be a tendency or a likelihood that during this time that things will be obstructed and hidden from view. So while there can be some big reveals, I mean, think about the notion of an eclipse as well. An eclipse is something, it's the blocking out of the light of the sun. And the sun is the truth, the sun is consciousness. And so when we get that eclipsed, like it is at a solar eclipse, that's not the best omen, okay? So how can we sit in our own truth? How can we find our own sovereign being, and come from our hearts in a place of compassion, not get sucked into some of the more negative, malevolent, divisive stuff that's going on right now? Question. So I'm just going to see if there's anything else. Yes. The other thing that's really interesting about this eclipse is that Venus, which is actually the sign ruling the eclipse, as we've said, it's in Virgo. And shortly after the eclipse, it starts to separate from an opposition with Saturn, where it is when I'm making this video. Now, Venus, Saturn again, this is tension in relationships. This is like division in relationships. It's like discord. It can be coldness. It can be, you're not part of the club here. Maybe this relationship's not going to work. It could be about things being one-sided, unrequited love, things like feeling isolated from the group, feeling different. Venus and Saturn is not a very lovely combination, especially by opposition. But thankfully, by the time this eclipse comes, that's going to start to separate. So if you've been feeling, or as you're watching this video, if you're feeling a little bit like, I don't feel like I'm fitting in, or I don't feel like I'm connected, or my relationship's not going that well, as Venus starts to separate out, it's hopefully things will start to feel a little bit warmer. Okay, remember Saturn's very cold and dry, icy almost. But Venus still has to traverse through Virgo, okay? And Venus in Virgo, it's very intellectual. You're trying to understand why isn't this working? Why has this ended up this way? I'm not sure if matters of the heart or matters of healing, really big problems can be figured out through the mind. I'm pretty sure that's not true. We can come up with some ideas, but I think ultimately it needs to come from the heart. So there's that, and there's also the opposition of this eclipse. It is eclipse. Let me just check. I thought it was. It is happening opposite Chiron. Yeah, it's happening opposite Chiron. There's this opposition between with Chiron. Now, the thing is, Chiron is, in astrology, it's connected to wounding, but it can also be about healing. It fits pretty well in with the concept of, us and them, or, you and the person that you love, or this side, that side. Chiron is over there in the other camp, so to speak. And Chiron is pointing to discord, or pointing to a part of us that feels wounded, or a part of the other person that feels wounded. And so there can be a lack of sharing here, a lack of communication that's honest. So, it's good to be opening up the communication pathways. I know that I'm talking about Mercury being combust, but if we can have true communication and honest communication at the moment, perhaps we can find healing, because when our pains and our scars and our, insecurities and all these things come up, which is symbolic of this opposition to Chiron, this is an opportunity for us to find what is not working and what is broken that needs healing inside of us, because ultimately it comes back to us. The better we are integrated, the better we are in terms of looking after ourselves, the more we can actually help other people and help the world. Okay, but if we're broken and we're looking at the world broken and we're trying to figure it out, it starts with you. Okay, it starts with me. So yeah, that's the sort of the irony, almost, I guess, of this oppositional, what is it? Yeah, Libra Aries axis. They exist in opposition. Venus opposite Mars, Aries opposite Libra. So it's like there needs to be enough of you that's taking care of you, but there also needs to be a sensitivity and a conscious awareness of the other, without giving away yourself and what you need, because you need to look after you first, right? So I think a lot of this stuff, these concepts of equality, of fairness, of justice, and the polarity of all the things that are not that, all the things that are not working, that are not healing, all the things that are broken, that is intense, and that could also be coming up for healing at this time. So keep it on the low. Like, it's a good idea to really look after yourself during the eclipse. Yeah, I've got the eclipse happening on my natal Mars and MC degree. It's pretty full on. I'm hoping it's going to bring some really awesome stuff career-wise. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. We can hope. Send me some good vibes. And that was about all I wanted to say. The final thing is there's an environmental and a global piece to this. And I was just checking out one of my favorite websites, which is the SkyScript website. Now, this is the website of one of my mentors and friends, Deb Holding, and a lot of other collaborators that have put amazing things into this website. So check it out, skyscript.co.uk. Now, in terms of eclipses on there, she makes a clear point that they need to be landing within a degree of the sun, moon, or angle in your chart. Angle is ascendant, descendant, MCIC, okay? Ideally, it needs to be close, right? So if this eclipse is not landing close to your stuff, you're probably not going to see something or experiencing something really, really shifting and huge in your life. The other thing that's important to mention is that this eclipse is a South Node eclipse. So while it's a new moon, like all solar eclipses are, it's happening on the South Node. So it's like, well, you need to let go of a heap of stuff. That's a heap of baggage, a heap of things that have been tying you down. Maybe you need to let go of some outdated perceptions and outdated ways of interacting with the world. The way that you're judging people might be problematic. This is Libra. Okay, you might have this high-minded idea about how things should be, but actually that's not really how the world works. Okay, so you've got to check yourself as well. So look at that. And the other thing I wanted to say is that because eclipses can affect us globally, and we can have a look at the world around us, if this eclipse ties into like the foundation chart of a country, for example, then that country could see something significant. Now, solar eclipses traditionally have a connection to the death of the king. Now, remember, the sun is a symbol of the king or of leadership. And so when that light is obstructed, that is a symbol of death. So, I'm not trying to foretell anything too negative, but I just wanted to share some of the traditional meanings. And also because this eclipse is happening in Libra, remember Libra is an air sign, and something interesting on the SkyScript site that I was reading is that there can be a connection to airborne pathogens at this time, or things like airborne viruses and plagues and stuff. So stay healthy, eat well, try and rest. It is going to be that sort of yin time, okay? It's a new moon, all right? So while something new is kind of seeding, we've got a lot of things we need to clear out of that South Node, Some very deep work, deep processing is going on, on a collective level. So wish you the best. Please reach out if you are stuck or you're going through some big stuff and you want to have a session with me. I have a couple of sessions available. You can book them at queenofheartsastrology.com. And I will be back again soon for another one of these. So I wish you very well and good luck. See you soon.